Welcome back to my channel here at The Movie Optimist, everybody. I just got done watching the newest film, Gladiator 2, a sequel 24 years in the making. I have been wildly excited for this film. I really enjoyed the first Gladiator. I don't love it the way a lot of other people do, but I did really enjoy it. I've watched it multiple times since it came out. I have it on Blu-ray, and I've been really excited for this film. That being said, it has been hampered a little bit by the fact that I think that Ridley Scott has not made a good movie since The Martian. Everything he's made since then has literally been awful, with the creme de la creme being Napoleon, which I thought was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. You know what, The Last Duel wasn't that bad, but it was just okay. It was passable, and it didn't make up for the misfires that he's had before that and after that. So going into this movie, I was a little nervous thinking that he was going to ruin this franchise, and I don't think he did. I actually liked this movie a lot, but it wasn't everything I wanted it to be and more. Essentially, in this movie, Paul Mescal plays Lucius, which is the son of Maximus Aurelius. After the death of his father in the arena to Joaquin Phoenix, he is sent away in hiding because his mother fears for his life that if the Roman Empire finds out that he is still alive, they will kill him because he's technically heir to the throne. So he's sent out as a young child and forced to survive and build a life of his own, which he does. He finds a woman that he loves and he builds a life with. He has a home with her. She becomes his wife. And then, like Roman empires do, one day they come knocking, wanting to take control of his land, and his land fights back with the small army that they have, and they lose to this Roman army led by Pedro Pascal, who is hesitant to be there. He does not want to go and kill all these innocent people, but because he is a Roman general, he's forced to. And in this battle that ensues over Lucius's home, he loses the love of his life, his wife, and he blames Pedro Pascal's character for it because he's the one that led the army there. So he swears revenge against Pedro Pascal's character, but before he could do anything about it, he is taken hostage and he is forced to become a gladiator like his father for the Roman Empire and fight for his freedom. What ensues after this is essentially the same exact movie you got in the first Gladiator, where he goes through a couple different boss levels of having to fight different things. Instead of it being a lion, it's a rhino. He fights a few people. This one has a really cool moment where they flood the Colosseum with a bunch of water and fill it with sharks and make them fight on boats. So that was new. But then, they stage a breakout, they get caught during the breakout, they get thrown back into the arena again and have to fight to the death again in one last glorious battle. It's the same movie you got the first time, just with a different ending and different characters. It's that same exoskeleton, though. It feels very similar. That's not to say it's a bad thing, because Ridley Scott's a master at this sword and sandal type movie genre. He does a great job with it. It just doesn't present anything new. And that's the biggest problem I have with it, that usually when a sequel comes out, it's because they have something to say. They have something to further develop the story along, like The Godfather 2 or The Empire Strikes Back. I'll even give you The Dark Knight or Terminator 2. They all had something to say that took what they laid in the groundwork of the first film and extended upon it and made it better in the second one. This one didn't really do that. It just gave you the exact same thing, like I said, just with different characters. This is very much The Force Awakens of the Gladiator universe, where it's really just the same movie again, just with new motives. And it's conflicting because it does work. You do rally behind Lucius, Paul Mescal's character. You do root for him. You want him to succeed. He has this rage and this revenge in him that you love to see unfold in movies like this. And then they also give you compelling characters like Pedro Pascal, who isn't really a bad guy. The whole attack on Lucius's home wasn't even something he wanted to do. It was against his will. He's actually in love with Lucius's mother and wants to help Lucius. So it's this really compelling narrative where you don't know who to root for. Kind of like in the movie Warrior with Tom Hardy, where both brothers have to fight each other in the UFC arena at the end. It has that kind of vibe to it where you really don't want either of them to win. There are a lot of things that are really compelling about this film that kind of make up for the fact that it's essentially the same exact movie that you got in the year 2000. The action this time around is incredible. This is very unpopular amongst my friends, but I thought that the fight scenes in the first one were horrendous. They use a lot of quick cuts and different angles and very fast editing where you don't get a long time to kind of revel in the choreography and the fight scenes. You don't get a long time to kind of soak in and marinate the violence that's going on and all the bloodshed, because it's all so quickly edited together. This one, Ridley Scott's had 24 years to film more violent action movies. He's had better time to hone his skill as a director when it comes to filming action scenes and the cinematography around it, and they hold on a lot of the action this time around. You get to appreciate more of the choreography because it's filmed with a lot more wides. It's not cutting all over the place and quickly edited. So I liked the action this time around way more than the first one. And I also thought that the violence was way more brutal in this one. So if you're really into watching gladiators fight to the death, you get 2 times the amount of it in this one than you did in the first one. This movie is also never not entertaining. Like, it is very fast. It's 2 hours and a half, but they're constantly throwing the next action set piece at you, so you don't sit around and just watch people talk for too long. The first one had a lot more politics to it. This one does too, but the first one takes its time more in the scenes between the violence, whereas in this one, it feels very quick to get you back into it. So it doesn't feel as smartly written or deep like the first one did, but it's more entertaining, at least in my opinion, than the first one was. So at the end of the day, I had more fun watching this one than I did watching the first one. That's not to say that I think this one's better, just more entertaining. Paul Mescal is great in this movie. I won't say he's phenomenal, and it's really not his fault because no matter how good he was, he is living in the shadow of Russell fucking Crowe. And I'm sorry, but Russell fucking Crowe, he is not. He's great, but he was never going to get out of that shadow, so unfortunately for him, it was just something that he was never going to win. It was a losing battle. The 2 brothers that play the emperors that are kind of fucking crazy, I see some people complaining about them, feeling like they're in a different movie altogether with just their wild performances, but it's actually kind of history accurate to the people that they're portraying. They were known for being kind of like sick in the head and wild cards, so I didn't mind them that much. I also see a lot of people talking about Denzel Washington, and this being his next Training Day-like performance. I don't think that's the case. That's not the case at all here. He is the one character in this film that feels like he is in a different movie, whereas everyone else is trying their damnedest to have history-accurate accents. Denzel just comes in here with like a Brooklyn accent and doesn't even try to like fake a Roman Empire accent, which, to be fair, he's not from the Roman Empire in this film. He comes there from somewhere else. He's actually a character that's shrouded in mystery, which is one of the compelling things about the movie. But every time he's on scene and he's talking, he's literally just acting like he's from 2020s Brooklyn or New York, slang and all, and it just pulls you out of the movie. He's good in it, but he's also distracting at the same time. He's giving a great performance, but it just feels like they plucked him out of like a spoof version of a Gladiator movie that takes place in the year 2020 and put him in this one. I thought he was the weakest link in this film, whereas in the standout for me here was Pedro Pascal, who plays the Roman general who's conflicted because he loves Lucius's mother, he loves Rome, and he wants to restore Rome to this place of honor, because Rome in this movie lacks honor, where they kill noble people in the streets for popularity. These 2 people that are running Rome, these 2 teenagers essentially, are very emotional. They're very sick in the head, and they're making really stupid and emotional decisions out of anger and rage. And they want to be loved, and they're trying to give the people what they want, but they're also making really stupid decisions that's actually turning the people of Rome against them. So Pedro Pascal's character is constantly pulled in multiple different directions, where he wants to help Lucius's mother, and he wants to help Lucius, and he wants to help Rome. He was just the most compelling character with the most dimension to him, and I thought that he was just perfectly cast in this film. Every second he was on screen was when this movie was firing on all cylinders, in my opinion. He also had the best acting in this film. So yeah, he was the standout here for me in this film. And to top it all off, this movie does have a drastically different ending than the first one does, which sets up where this movie could potentially go in a sequel. I don't want to spoil it for you here, but it does set up a very interesting idea for what the sequel could be like if they make a Gladiator 3. So yeah, at the end of the day, it is same but different. It is just another serving of the same plate that you got before, but it works. It works, especially if you like the sword and sandal thing. The action's great. The cinematography is great. The movie is beautiful to look at. Most of the performances are great with a compelling revenge plot. I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. If you hate the idea of getting more of the same, then you might not like this one. But if you just want to go and watch a good revenge plot, see some threads tied together that connect the first film to this film, give it a watch. I'm sure you'll at least enjoy it. Maybe not love it, but at least have a good time. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Did I give you a reason to see this film in theaters this weekend? Did I not? Let's talk about it down below. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. Strength and honor.